Welcome to the Operation STRIX podcast. I am your host, LaCroix. Due to technical difficulties, this first part didn't come through quite right, so introducing our lineup for this episode, we have myself, Roski Draftsman, Nagy, Smallest Senpai, and Cool Blue Rays will be joining us a little bit later into the episode. But without further ado, let's get on with the conversation. Yeah, there's a lot to talk about, so we're just gonna go right into it. Senpai, right off the bat, what were you expecting with today's chapter, and did you get that?
I honestly don't know what I was expecting because it's been such a long hiatus since the last chapter that I don't even remember what the last chapter was currently. Um so knowing Endo, I was like it'll be either something really funny or angst. And today he decided violence, so he decided angst.
He
And
brought out all the violence.
I can't be mad. It was a wonderful chapter, and the fact that it's part 1 makes me excited for what comes next.
Endo has like a little of a rhythm where he just goes ham and has like an arc, a proper arc with dramatic stakes and some thrills and a little of angst. And then he spends one, two, or three chapters just doing something cuter, smaller in scope. Small hidden academy stories and whatnot.
Yeah,
So last chapter, if I recall correctly, was the Tony Truth lady.
yeah,
Yeah, and that was like real silly, real fun.
yeah.
It wasn't something particularly dramatic. So I wasn't expecting this week to suddenly go bam, important
Hit you
flashback.
with the
Like,
feels.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, because it's funny. This chapter actually was light on comedy if you think about it. Like, yeah, there's some like one or two jokes
yeah,
right there, but generally speaking, it's a more heartful chapter where they are starting to explore Twilight's childhood, and it's
yeah,
yeah, and it's like a little more down to earth, in a way.
yeah. So like touching off of that, and especially talking about how the last chapter, because we didn't do we had recorded something for the podcast over that chapter, but honestly there was nothing really to talk about, so I didn't even bother putting an episode together. But like you had said, like with all of Endo's, like, I call them filler chapters. Like I guess they're not filler, but at the same time, it's like anytime Anya and the kids are at Eden, and it's like, yeah, they might progress the story a little bit, but for the most part, it's just like self-contained little stories, and it's not really. How should I put it? It's not like important to the story at all. And to get an episode like this, like right after, basically we've had like a string of these like filler episodes or filler chapters, and all of a sudden it's like boom, here's all the backstory about the main character out of nowhere, and on top of that it's depressing as hell, so you're just like what is going on here?
Who doesn't like some good drama? Good emphasis in
And
good
it's
drama.
it's good drama. It is I mean, there's no whatever y'all want to talk about in regards to the chapter. I mean, feel free to bring it up, because I mean, there's so much to go over. We could literally talk about anything. Um, I would I would say right off the bat that the thing that struck me most about this chapter was Lloyd's relationship with his father.
Ooh.
Because that's another thing I was not expecting, especially with backstory. Like, I wasn't expecting like this deep introspection about him and like his dad and stuff, and I'm like, fuck.
I mean, that's a very interesting one. One thing is to have like the archetypical deadbeat father that doesn't know how to, interact with a child and beats him a complete and utter asshole. Uh, I didn't exactly get those vibes with this guy. Yeah,
Yeah.
He's clearly not. He clearly doesn't have like a good relationship with little Twilight. I mean, he resorted to physical violence after all. But with all things considered, he still tried to uh
He wasn't a stereotypical villain like they do. He was,
no, yeah,
yeah, he had very mixed viewpoint, not viewpoints, but he was very, what was the word that Senpai had used earlier? Very hypocritical.
yeah,
Yep.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, he was like really poor at communicating, but he was still trying to push Lloyd, well, or Twilight, or Lloyd. Let's call him Lloyd.
Yeah.
To try and understand the other side of the conflict. Like he should hope to not be part of a war. You know, that he should try to see the other side as people, because he just jumped to the conclusion like, yeah, Ostanians are monsters, and no, well, no,
Yeah.
that's not how war works. So I think there's something a little more complex going on with this character, because
Well,
it
yeah.
wasn't.
I think so. As because we were talking about this chapter earlier with Cannibal and everyone else, and they had brought up the fact that this is well, we're going with like if we're comparing it to like real life timeline, it'd probably be like the 40s or 50s, and I mean, parents beat their kids. I mean, that was just
That was the norm. Yeah.
that's what they did, and it's shocking to see, especially nowadays. But at the same time, it's like a smack across the face from a stern father was not outside the norm.
It's just he was trying to point out the war is the bad type of violence, because, like, yes, he did. It is hypocritical to hit your son to teach them not to go to war, but it is a different scale in violence when you decide to join the army than to just roughen someone up in the bar.
Very much
So he was. What I loved about this character is how shaded his view is. Like, he clearly has a problem with this whole conflict, and how it is pushed on everyone and how it is inevitable.
Yeah.
But he still tries to cling to hope that there will be no war, and then, you know.
We kind of joked about it before, but it's probably more of that generational trauma. I forgot who mentioned it, but there was like a likely chance that little Lloyd's grandfather or someone in the family went to war before in the past.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm not surprised that his father felt this way, was kind of harsh about it, because I get, for him it's like, he's a child, he doesn't know any better, and I
Right.
get that, but like, I don't think I know it's normal for this time for you to kind of just whack your kids around a bit whenever you think that they've misbehaved or said something wrong, but it's like it is obviously not great that he thought hitting his son was better than at least trying to explain why he should be more hopeful. He should be looking he should want peace between the two countries than just another war or whatever. It like broke my heart when I was reading that.
Oh, definitely.
It was such a shock.
Yeah.
Like, I saw that, I was like, am I reading this right? Did he actually just hit his son?
Yeah. Did Endo draw Lloyd getting smacked by his father? Like, what?
Yeah, seriously. And I mean, I know that he never showed his father before. Like, when Lloyd talked about his childhood, he just mentioned how much he loved his mother,
Yeah.
which is really sweet. And now we know why.
Yeah.
I guess it's a messed up thing. Now we know why.
But also, well, about that, my vote would be that the father also was in war. Like, because
Yeah.
if we are going with real life parallels, there's no chance he missed out being in the army in the war
because
before.
World
So
War One.
he knows
He
what
was on
he's
World
talking
War
about, and with this, it will be a really twisted view on this, but people who were in the army and had to be there because there's war and you cannot escape, realize and experience how the army works, and the army is not child safe. Like, people will beat you up, and that's how it worked in the old times. Like, this is part of the how you become a soldier.
Yeah.
So him smacking his son to prove a point is twisted in so many levels, and so, well, it's just too much.
It's heartbreaking because, and then you because
No.
I mean, yes, we've said it's common back in the days, but I mean the clearly the wife and the husband don't get along, so then you've got that factored into it, and it's just like not a fun home life for Lloyd, and the fact that he seeks comfort in his three buddies, who one his dad doesn't approve of because they're running around playing army all the time, and they're running around in, what is it? What do they call it? It's an abandoned army supply depot, and that comes back to bite them in the ass later. But I loved that little scene at the beginning while they're playing soldiers, and Lloyd does that little face he does in that first chapter where he's like, "Turn around and you die." I love that. I was like, "Oh my god."
Yeah, because when I first saw that, I thought, "Oh, why are there just a bunch of random? What the fuck is going on right now?" And then I saw that, I was like, "Oh, it's Lloyd, but he's like a kid.
Little Lloyd.
Oh my god!" Like,
Honestly,
I wouldn't have been able to figure that out right away.
I read the chapter and it didn't even hit. I was reading it and I'm like, did I accidentally click on like chapter 1?
Right.
And then when they're like, here's little, like, who would grow up to be Twilight? I was like, oh my god, it's his baby.
I know, and he's so fucking cute. I can't even. He's fucking adorable. I mean, we all knew he was an adorable kid, but the only image we saw of him was sobbing his eyes out from a bombing.
Yeah.
So it's nice to see him smile once in a while.
Right.
And seeing how similar he is in mannerisms to Anya just is like,
so
oh my
good.
god, you're so similar to her.
It's adorable. I fucking love it.
That whole thing, the whole bit with the croquette lady, and he's like, "Yeah, I think I can see your horns." Like,
yeah,
little
that
shit.
was great stuff. I love that little joke. It's like, oh, that's so perfect because it's exactly something Anya would have done.
Wait a moment. Some really stupid thought has come across my head. And is that foreshadowing? Is that like a form of foreshadowing? Because, oh yeah, Ustendians are monsters and they have horns. Anya?
Oh my god, it just clicked.
Wait.
Oh boy.
Yep.
Wait a minute.
Oh
Roski.
my god, Roski. Your brain is massive.
It is a nice little nod, but I think it was more of a joke, kind of. For
yeah,
sure.
yeah, I think, but
you never know
like,
with Endo.
Yeah,
true.
Yeah, I feel that it was like a little clever.
Oh, now
if I've seen anything in this chapter, it's that Endo does not do anything unintentionally. Because when we were like all reading the chapter, and SK was like, he's wearing the same clothes from the bombing, and sure enough, what happened?
Ugh.
Yeah.
Ugh. Damn it, Endo.
I really wanna, like just analyze this shit out of the scene when little Lloyd, he puts on the charm and asks his father for, oh, could I get a little pocket money? I need a book for school, Dad.
And so
like,
it begins.
Just kind of broke him like that was a lie, and I feel horrible about it. I was like, oh my god. Oh my god.
Well, who put that super cut together of Lloyd being Lloyd smiling and it looking exactly like his dad, and like it's just like at what point is Lloyd? And that makes me think
it was
about
music.
Yeah, it was music.
Music.
I
was just thinking like at what point is he really? Because I thought I knew when Lloyd like actually smiles, like, but now I'm not so sure. Like, at what point is it a mask? At what point is he just like remembering what his father looked like and emulating that, to get, the that look of happiness or whatever. But yeah, even back then he was a little spy in training, like.
You know
Yeah.
what I actually was thinking
He had a
about,
job.
kind of rereading these panels here. I'm kind of wondering if maybe, I don't know, Lloyd's father was some kind of diplomat, because he said
That was
there
my
was
first
trouble
thought.
around the border.
Yeah.
I didn't really piece it together because I was like, my mind was reeling so quickly over the fact that this chapter was happening. I think I couldn't process what I was reading, so I was just like, oh my god, I have to see what happens next. What the fuck is happening right now?
Right.
Like, yeah.
Definitely
So
think the main theory people have, at least in our server, regarding what his dad's occupation is. Either he's a spy, whether he is for the West or the East remains to be seen, or if he's a diplomat, because the timing of him being like, I have to go on a business trip right
Yeah.
before that happens, it's a
I
little
know.
It's a
Yeah.
little
uncanny.
fishy.
Like, as
I
far as I
mean-
understand, he was gone when this bombing happened, so he's still alive. Which technically means he should have
That
been
we
able
know
to
of.
take care of. Yeah, that we know of. He should, quote unquote, have been alive to take care of Lloyd, but Lloyd says that he was an orphan, so I don't know what the fuck happened to the dad. Maybe
What I
he was
assume
killed
happened,
at the border.
what I assume happened, assuming he is still alive, obviously we don't know, but my thought would be if you come back and your entire hometown is leveled, you're just gonna cut your losses and be like, there's no way my family survived.
Mm.
Or are
I
you just
guess
gonna come back?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe
If that was my kid,
God.
I would
if
want to
Lloyd's
see a
fucking
body or
father
something.
is still alive, I get a weird feeling he's gonna come back. We're just gonna
No.
have him come back, and Lloyd's gonna be like, "Oh my god, my fucking father is alive. He's been alive this entire time. Does he even know I'm still alive? Probably not. I don't even know, man."
I would love to see it for the sole reason that I was discussing earlier, that the way Endo has written his dad's character so far, is that he could have very easily gone down the route where his dad's just an asshole and is like, I can't communicate, let me just smack my child across the face.
Yeah.
But
Right.
given the circumstances and how, we're basing this off of the fact that he probably had prior military experience, I could very easily see him coming back and being like, the image that you have of me when you were a child is not who I want it to be, but my job kept me away from you. I didn't know how to communicate. War is very hard to talk about with kids, and then Lloyd has to grapple with this idea of the guy he thought was his dad, who's a total ass, is not that, and that internal struggle that's going to arise from that. So I think that'd be very interesting.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Ooh.
Lloyd's an adult now. He takes care of Anya. He understands the perspective of being a father. And while I don't think he would ever agree with his father's method of talking to children, raising them in general, I think he'd be able to understand his father's perspective now as an adult, at the very
Yeah.
least. And like, you made tough choices and you were harsh with me because the world was a lot harsher, as it turns out, especially after, Lloyd actually did lose everything.
Yeah.
I'm sure life was very hard for him, and whether his father knew it or not, he probably kind of helped his son prepare for what life was going to be like, a little bit. I still don't agree with it, but I understand where it came from. It's always, comes from a place of fear that something bad is going to happen to your kids. Like, the shit you experience is going to somehow hit them, and if you're not careful, it will. It's really messed up. And I guess the worst part of it is it technically came true. That fear did become reality in Lloyd's case with his family.
Yeah.
Mm.
So I'm still working under the assumption that his father is a diplomat, only because it wasn't a coincidence that he left, because I'm looking back on it right
Absolutely
now, and he said I have to go on a little business trip. Things are heating up along the border, so
Right, so he had to go there. So he must be related to. He must have been related to the conflict
yeah,
in some capacity,
Yep.
whatever reason that was. But I guess diplomat would make the most sense because of his peace kind of talks. It
Yeah.
sounds like, at the very least, he's well versed in talking in a more peace-minded aspect or perspective, if anything, about, oh, do you know that they're monsters? You've confirmed, you've seen them do horrible things, that kind of talk.
yeah,
And everything. So I think he must have been some kind of diplomat, aiming for peace, and unfortunately it didn't really work out in his case, though.
I think maybe, you know
Like-
what? Now that I'm looking back at the beginning,
Journalist.
journalist.
How about he's a
I'm
journalist?
thinking maybe he's like maybe he's in the army because there's that part where he's like I'm gonna join the army, and he's like hell you are, like yeah, you think they put a coward like you on the battlefield, you only get in the way. And I'm like, I don't know, he just seems like a very stern, well, he is stern, but I don't know, that seems like a weird thing to throw out to what I
yeah,
assume is like
that
a
seems
6-year-old,
that seems
7-year-old.
Yeah, that seems too specific to just be a vague. I actually would kind of like to point out, I don't know if this means anything or if anyone else sees what I sees, but just because of the way Lloyd's father's face is kind of drawn with those extra kind of sharper cheekbone lines, I kind of get the impression he's like a bit older maybe than Lloyd's mother.
Mm-hmm.
Because Lloyd's mother looks pretty young. She looks like, what, in her early, maybe like later 20s or something, but I don't know, I get the impression Lloyd's father is maybe older, like in his early 40s, late 30s.
She looks like Camilla.
Oh, with the hair and
Yeah.
stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of see that. I think it's funny she's got like no eyes.
Yeah,
No,
well,
neither of them got eyes, so.
they're
Yeah.
doing that anime thing.
They are that anime manga thing.
I mean,
But yeah, I don't know. Maybe that has something to do with it too. He's an older man married to a younger wife. And that's also why they don't see eye to eye on how to raise their son. Unfortunately, I could see that.
I mean, it makes sense.
Nah, I wouldn't say that.
Yeah.
I would say it might come from different backgrounds, like family backgrounds,
Yeah.
because Lloyd's father is heavy on the critical thinking. Like, you have to proof it up, you have to go after it yourself. And as little as we know about his mother, she's a really gentle feeling soul. Like, I will sing you a lullaby to make you forget everything. Which is, I think, the clash on reality and the reality of war they are facing.
Mm.
Because
Yeah,
let's face
I
it,
agree.
when you do clash on it a lot, and you will have to clash on it a lot if it's right next to you or in your vicinity, or
Right.
it's,
Yeah, one of them is going for it. You need to know the harshness of the world, because if I can prepare you
yeah,
for it, it's not gonna like, knock you off
it's
your
not gonna
feet.
break
And
you that much.
right,
You will
but
survive and
Lloyd's
stuff,
mother would
but
rather like, no, I just want to comfort him and make him feel safe,
yeah,
even if it's not, even if it's not a guarantee. I'd rather him feel safe than have to worry about a bombing.
yeah.
Which, like, I agree on both ends. I think both of those things are valid to do as a parent in this situation. Um, but I don't know. I think there should have been some middle ground. There should be technically a middle ground when you are trying to raise and teach your children, like, yes, this is how the world works, and hopefully you will never have to deal with it, but I'd rather you be informed now that these things can happen than just never know
Yeah.
at all, and not be able to keep yourself safe because
Yeah.
you were not informed of it properly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm very big on the idea that you should tell your kids what's going on, even if you think it's maybe a little too dark or too, I don't know if inappropriate is the right word, but kids should be aware of the things going on around them, because it's for the best. They really should know. It will just ultimately help them if they were ever in a situation where they needed to know something, and hopefully they can help themselves at the very least, like just make kids a bit more self-sufficient. So
So
yeah, I think on both ends it's important. Like, yes, make kids feel safe, but also let them know that there are scary things out there, and they should hopefully be able to do something about it if they know how to take care of it, take care of themselves. I don't know. I'm just rambling.
oh, it's okay. Good.
I find it interesting that he has at home. There's this breakdown of communication, and then that leads to a not great home life. You know what I mean? It's people not talking with each other or not listening to each other, which is ironically something that like his dad preaches a lot about, but like he's not willing to do that with his wife.
Yeah.
And then we see the same parallels with Westalis and Ostania, and I had shared that panel earlier of that one moment, that meetup with Donovan, and where he talks about it's always important to meet people halfway. He's like, I don't understand my daughter. He's like, but I have to keep trying to, and it's like, it doesn't matter, even if I don't understand, as long as I make the attempt and I'm still working at it, that's all that matters. So I love how Endo keeps coming back to that central theme of like communication and trying to understand other people, even if it's scary, even if it isn't.
That whole speech gives a whole new wave of emotions to me now. Knowing what Lloyd's upbringing was like, dear fucking god. Now I feel the need to have to go back and reread this entire manga again, just so I can pinpoint if there's some other things from his home life that he's been, using with Yor and Anya now. Like, I'm sure there is, but now we know a bit more context, so it'll make it a bit easier to spot that.
You know what?
And you know what?
No, I have to reread the manga. How terrible.
Damn it.
Oh no, what a shame. It's not like I wasn't
Not
already
for the
reading
fifth
it. I will say though, this actually deeply makes me want to see more like back stories on the other characters really, really badly.
Oh yes.
I really want Yor. I want Yor and Yuri. I want Frankie, and I want like
Anya.
Fiona. Yes,
Handler.
and of course Anya, because Anya's would be purely heartbreaking.
Mm-hmm.
But this really, really makes me want more backstory on all the characters. Like I deeply need it now because this was so fucking good. I don't know how to explain to anyone who maybe hasn't read the whole thing.
Something we've wanted forever now, and it was
it's no
it
different.
came and it was honestly perfect. It was perfect. I don't know how else to say it.
I said it earlier as well, but like I love, don't get me wrong, I love when Endo writes like the fluffy comedy chapters, like here's another poop joke for you, have fun with that.
Yeah.
But I think Endo really shines when he like goes into the world building and the actual like real part of the manga, because it's really easy to read this and be like, oh yeah, haha, it's just a happy, like funny, like fun family story.
Yeah.
But no, like this, what we are currently reading is the actual story, and it's gonna probably get more serious than this.
The crazy thing is, Endo does such a good job of like tricking you into thinking it's a fun, safe manga without any high stakes, and then when he hits you with it, he fucking like punches you.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's real painful, guys. I keep forgetting what this fucking manga is about until Endo does something like that. I'm like,
and that's gonna be really crazy with the anime coming out. Like,
I know.
Everyone's gonna think it's so fluffy, and then they're gonna realize it's like this is a war story.
I actually saw a graphic earlier, I want to say on Twitter. I obviously, again, Twitter, take with a grain of salt, but it was comparing the popularity of other manga to what their popularity was like number of volumes sold before and after the anime came out, and it was comparing Demon Slayer, I think Attack on Titan, and their numbers versus like before and after the anime.
Yeah.
Spy X Family has way more than both of them before their anime. So now it's just like, people are going to explode when the anime comes out.
Yeah.
If they haven't read this manga yet.
I am so... it's weird for me to say I'm proud of a manga series, but I am really proud of this series being as popular as it is, because it just makes me feel so good to know that, hey, people are going to see why we're fucking crazy and obsessed with this.
Why we're making this podcast.
Well, basically.
Who knows? Maybe we'll actually get some fans or something of this podcast. I have no idea. I don't really expect much, but it's just so good. It's just so good. I think it makes me feel so good to know that there are going to be people out there who's going to see why this is so good and understand why we're fucking insane. It's like, yeah, we're crazy because this manga is that good. And you should also become crazy and enjoy this manga and talk to us about it, because we're just all fucking insane.
And not to be a bummer, but that depends if the anime adaptation is actually good.
Yes, this is true. This is true.
Shut up, Roski.
Yes,
I will not accept anything but positive vibes for this anime.
All right.
I know. I am excited. I'm hopeful, but we've seen how okay or bad anime adaptations fail to actually capture both.
Yeah,
the
I still don't trust Cloverworks, but because they're partnered with another studio, I'm more okay with it.
I mean,
but yeah,
I was thinking, for instance, like, I hate reading that hurts a little too much, but Berserk, the anime adaptation was crap. It was horrible. So it wasn't exactly the best conduit to get new people invested in the series because the animation was terrible and it was poorly adapted. But even technically okay series that really don't do much to gain traction, like the anime adaptation of Doctor Stone. Um,
I had heard. I
they
didn't read the
really don't.
manga on that. I remember everyone loving the anime, but
I
mean,
I liked it at the time. I kind of dropped it. I don't know. I got bored.
Uh,
I
uh,
think.
yeah, I don't hear anyone
that,
talk
that,
about it
that's
anymore.
what I mean. That's what I mean. Like the best adaptations are the ones that like grab new people and put their eyes on the manga. But if the anime adaptation doesn't like capture what makes the manga good, it's still gonna do fine. It's already doing really, really fine. So it's not like it's gonna hurt the sales or, but but let's just hope it actually does the series justice because otherwise it's gonna be a little disappointing to you to know to see something with great potential just done okay.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be Berserk bad. I know that for sure because you need to really try to fuck it up to do that badly. But
I don't
yeah,
think it'll
I
be
hope-
a glorious catastrophe or anything like that. I think.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah,
But
I think
yeah,
it might
we're
have
not
some
going there.
missteps here and there, but I'm not too concerned about it like exploding, because there's too
Right.
much money riding on this, and I don't think the director will allow that to happen.
yeah, I mean, the way I feel about it, the way I kind of feel about adaptations in general, between whether it's a book or manga in this case, and then a movie or anime, is that I mean, we'll probably enjoy the anime, but I think it would probably feel like it's for slightly different reasons than just reading the manga, because they're different mediums. So I think you're just gonna know that you'll get some kind of different experience from it, because obviously this is an animation, so it's supposed to be more fast paced or more there's music and voice acting and
And
moving
sound and
parts and pictures and whatnot. And
Yeah.
with a manga, they're static images, they're 2D images, and you appreciate those things, but on different levels.
Yeah, kind of build on that about like the whole. Well, going back to us talking about the true story of the manga is not the one that's being presented in advertisements and stuff like that. Like it's a
Right,
serious
right.
story.
Yeah, I know you were concerned about that. And
I
share
but
that
my thing with
concern
that
a
is
little
the way I want them to handle it in the anime is how Kaguya handled the Ishima story, because I just recently marathoned all of Kaguya. I'm stoked for third season, but that whole character arc with him overcoming that stuff that happened to him in middle school, that came out of nowhere to me. Like I was like, he's just like a joke character, and like and then Kaguya is a very light-hearted anime, and then all of a sudden, like towards the end of the second season, you get this whole like dark backstory of him as a person, but it doesn't feel forced or anything like that. It's very natural, and I think that's how I would want these two studios to kind of incorporate that that I would call it like the Endo way of including angst, because he smacks you with it, but not in a way that feels like forced or contrived or anything like that. Like it's abrupt because it doesn't get brought up a lot, but at the same time it's like it's always there. It's just underneath the surface.
Yeah.
You just don't think about it.
Yeah, it always feels so natural when it comes up. Like, it's like,
It's
not
mostly
going to question it.
because it's the setting. If you had history lesson in your life, you know the setting,
Yeah.
and you
But-
know what it implies, and you enjoy the fluff and the cute scenes and the kids being kids and two idiots denying they care for each other even though it's pretending.
The biggest
So
idiots.
you love it, but you know that it
characters.
is so sweet and cute because the setting itself is a time bomb.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I will always say I do enjoy Spike's Family when it's just being cute and silly because it makes those important moments like really hit harder. It makes them really just pop out, I think, more. They're just so more visceral.
It's the
Um,
magic of contrast.
yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, that's like the thing that like good manga do. You know.
Yeah. And it really strikes home, especially with current world events, especially with
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes.
and the whole part about the boys in the square getting ready for the festival, and the adults are all talking, and it's like, war's not coming, it's fine, don't worry about it, and then literally that
And
same
that-
night war starts. So
Oh.
the timing of this chapter, I think, may have something to do with that.
I think it's very deliberate. I mean,
You're right. I don't know how much was, directly inspired by, world events, current world events. Like I said, it was a month-long hiatus. So, and
Yeah.
I think it was literally the week or a couple of days after the last chapter. That's when, the whole business with Ukraine started.
yeah,
So,
when the
Yeah.
whole mess started. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. So it's and he handles it tastefully. I'll just throw that out
Oh,
there.
for
Like,
sure.
it's
I mean,
not.
it's
This
not-
isn't him cashing in on anything. This is very much a critique of war and all the tragedy that goes along with it. And honestly, I know a few. I know a few mangaka that could, do that tastefully. And Endo is a very respectful person. I see that in his art and how he handles his characters and all of
Yeah,
that.
he's
So
not trying to be exploited
Yeah.
or anything. Yeah.
So I think I think this was a good chapter for a lot of reasons.
It was an excellent
Yeah.
chapter.
It was cathartic
it-
in a way.
It was.
Any predictions how the story will go from here?
I know people were
um,
mentioning it earlier, but I mean, from what I gather of what we were discussing, some people were saying part two. We don't know how many parts there are. It could be 2 parts, could be like 10. With Endo, you do not know.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
true.
The next part could be like the continuation
Mhm.
of like the aftermath of this bombing. It could
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
going into Yor and Yuri, and this could be like parts, like fragments of each character's backstory, and just like snippets of it, where it's just like, here's this moment leading up to what we saw for like Lloyd's
Lloyd.
past in the first chapter. Our Lord and Savior Lloyd, actually. The next part could be like a snippet of Yor and Yuri's,
Yeah.
or next one Fiona. So I know that was kind of an idea people were playing with, where it's like, are we going to get snippets of each character in the next parts,
I think
given
this
how
is
many
a
parts you
dream.
might have, or just a
I'm not-
continuation of like what
I'm
is
not
currently happening to
sure.
Lloyd?
I think these things would get scattered or sprinkled throughout different
Yeah,
ranges
I-
of chapters and volumes, because putting them all in together,
It's
I
all
think
almost-
it would be way too soon to do something like that. Though
I
I would
couldn't
really
handle
love
it
getting.
mentally.
It's
Yeah.
Yeah, I
couldn't
wouldn't be able to handle it
give me time
mentally,
to
but
process.
yeah, seriously. But I think based on the story, I don't think it'd be worth it to get all of that information right now. I think it'd be good to save that for another time.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
do think that too. I just think this is gonna like end up with. Well, I do think that the rest of the chapter is gonna be the rest of the bombing.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I agree.
I think
SK
But
did
from
mention
I have no idea.
SK did mention it could potentially be like, not to reference Roski's wonderful animation, check it out if you haven't, but like this being a flashback that Lloyd is having like in a nightmare, and then he wakes
Yeah.
up from it. That is also a route that Endo could go. How likely it is, I
That's
don't
how I
know,
think
but
it
that
is.
is
Yeah, I guess
also something that he could be
I
thinking
guess
about.
after Anya got that that Taurus bolt, however
Nitrous.
the fuck you pronounce that. I guess whenever he got that, he just passed the fuck out and was out of it all day.
What if?
Damn, his daughter,
Okay,
his daughter getting a
oh,
second
okay,
change
hold
sent him
on.
right into a war
If we're
flashback.
going full angst route,
Send him
okay.
straight into a coma.
Because Endo tweeted out that pic of Lloyd. You know how he does the chapter pics, and it looks fuzzy,
Mhm.
like it's a
Right.
dream or something like that. What if? And I'm just being an asshole right now. What if like
Oh, no.
boy.
Lloyd? Okay, one scenario: Lloyd's asleep. It's a dream. Scenario 2: Lloyd is having a flashback moment, right? Because something Yor does or Anya says or something like that, and Anya is seeing it in his head.
Oh,
God.
shit.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
no. Oh
that
no.
is an angst truth.
Yep.
Still tall angst.
Also,
Oh god.
just I don't know if we posed on the fact that Lloyd was the one showing the guys this place they all went to play.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Oh
Survivor
no, why
guilt
would
from
you
hell.
say that?
Because I mean,
The
let's go full angst. Let's go full angst.
Oh,
He will be
Jeez,
crippled with guilt.
And she's
He
not here
couldn't-
to do anything about it.
oh yeah, you guys have a problem.
God.
So he was the one showing the place to the boys that was bombed because it was an old military storage place.
Yep.
And he
Probably
couldn't
thought it was
really
never going to be used. Yeah.
Yes, and he couldn't really ask for he couldn't confess to his father that he lied.
Love it.
Oh
I
my
love it.
god.
This is where the chapter ends. I'm just saying that what we read just be okay. Like, let's face it, Endo is a master of angst.
He is.
Between all the poop jokes and the cute kid stuff.
Yeah.
That's
Just-
what throws me for a loop. Like, this man could talk about pee-pee pants 1 second and then make me fucking cry the next second. Like, what the hell?
Endo has too much talent. He should not be allowed to have a manga series because he's just screwing with his fans 24/7 with this
That's
shit.
fine with
He's
me.
multi-track drifting angst and fluff and comedy at the same time. Stop
Yeah.
this man.
I mean,
Inconceivable.
No, seriously, how the fuck is he able to do all of that in the same fucking manga within like the same volume? That's
Oh yeah.
that's fun.
I mean, he kind of plays with people around. It's like, oh, you get a fluffy chapter, angst. Oh yeah, and you get a fluffy.
You know
chapter.
what? I
And
think
it's
what
like,
Endo does is he's just like, you know what, you bitches, you became
bitches.
fans of my fucking manga and you let me get an anime. I'm making all your problems now.
It's like the worst game of Duck Duck Goose where it's like fluff, 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 war flashback,
It really
fluff.
is
Yeah.
though. You never
What?
know. That's the scary part.
Yeah,
Fluff,
he
fluff.
knows
Ah,
how to
yes.
sucker punch
It's a
people.
ticking time
War
bomb.
experimentation.
He loves.
Fluff,
It's
fluff,
just
fluff,
like-
assassination. Yeah.
I mean, I prefer this over fan service.
Oh
Oh,
yeah,
that, like,
100%.
all day, every day.
100,000% agreed. If they
I mean,
give
rather
fan service
the
to
angst-
Yor,
The only fan service I
mean-
want is just them to be a happy family.
Yes.
Literally.
That's the only fan service I want. That's the only thing the fans want.
Ah, yes. Spy family fan service is getting
Is hugging.
therapy.
Crime
and
Family
happy
against
hugging.
It doesn't belong in this manga.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's funny because because the more I started reading the manga, it was like, there hasn't been any fan service here. Wow, that's
Yes.
a refreshing change of pace.
Right?
Love it.
It is so
Feels very
good.
mature. You know, I think that's
Us
also
reading.
Yeah, I think
Oh, no,
that's
continue.
also why it's part of it's exploded the way it has is because I think it is a more not taste. Well, yeah, I'll go with tasteful manga for like an older audience and like the fluff and the stuff that keeps the kids coming in, but like then the really angsty shit, you know, is for like all those people who are kind of done at the moment and they're just like, oh yeah, that's that good stuff. That's
I remember when we were reading in the middle of the cruise arc.
Part of why I started reading the manga because
Yeah, but I was gonna say like in the middle. I remember when we were reading the cruise arc, and like it was in that like break between the chapter where Yor was like, "Oh no, I got this gash on my chest, and we have the beach day tomorrow," and it was like he could have easily just been like, swimsuit fan service, but no, he puts them in like a full wetsuit,
yeah.
a full wetsuit, all of them.
The most sensible
little
thing to
salty
do
about
in this case.
yeah,
I love
yeah,
it.
yeah.
I
But
love
it's,
it.
I mean, I will say as a person who as a woman who likes anime manga, sometimes, of course, fan service can be very exhausting to deal with because I've heard, and I'm sure other women who are fans of manga and anime would agree with me, that it can really take you out of the story when you suddenly
Yep.
like, oh,
Oh,
those are
yeah.
tits and there's an
Yeah,
ass right
I
That's
there.
mean,
why I
Like,
dropped Fire
I don't
Force.
see
I
how
mean,
this
I
is
couldn't do
plot
it.
relevant, but
not,
okay.
not just women. Like even for men, it can be distracting, and not in the erotic way,
Intended way?
but like, wait, not in intended way, but like, wait, why the fuck are we doing this? Like,
Yep.
come on, get going with the plot.
Right.
Or wait.
So
So yeah, it's actually like I said, it's not a crime against humanity. It works for some stories. It doesn't work here. I'm glad that Endo knows his stuff. That knows to be tasteful.
Yeah.
That knows to be.
Yeah.
Thank God. Thank fucking Christ. Because I will always appreciate this manga for having such, nice looking characters and nice, regular fucking clothes and not like bikini tops and short shorts because
Yeah.
that would not make any sense.
I mean, there's clothes that do not make much sense, but
We're not going down this route again, Roski.
But it's not to the, no. I mean, but it's not to the point of like being overtly exploited.
Authenticity is not
yeah.
Endo's goal here.
Yeah. I
It
know.
never really was.
It's like no, but I was meaning like, yeah, no assassin will fight in hills, but it looks cool, so let's give it a pass.
Yeah. Now it's just skirting back to the anime talk. My only fear is that they will try to create fan service in the anime. Just please don't.
No,
I am a
Please
little
don't.
concerned about that. I'm not gonna lie, because
Because it's just and
it's
I know
just a
this
normal
is
thing that happens in an anime.
I know-
Unfortunately, a lot. So
and
yeah.
I am paranoid, and I am a really paranoid person, and that's why I will just say it out here so people can laugh about it because it's funny. I know it's funny paranoia that every time they make them blush, it's just why would you do that? Okay, York is a mess
so he
most of the time.
blushes in the manga. It's
but-
just not as pronounced.
Yes, and that's my problem. Is like if it's too much, if it's too obvious, they will. Please don't make it obvious. Just keep it down. The blushing.
It's I'll take what I can get. All I can say is, and I've said it before, Endo drinks his respect women juice, and that's all I can
Yes,
ask.
he does, and we're so
It's
thankful
very
for it.
refreshing.
Yeah. Well, I think we've talked about all we can talk about for this first part, and our hopes and fears for the anime, which, by the way, is coming out this Friday, Saturday.
But I can't believe we've actually made it
We've made
to
it.
this point that we're actually getting an anime in like less than a week now.
Here on the server, we are going to be watching it. Obviously, we can't stream that on YouTube, but
Mandatory feral.
we'll probably do like a super cut of us just screaming into the void for about 30 minutes straight. So that'll be fun. Look forward to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna be great.
But yeah, and then we I didn't even double check. Is it normal update schedule? Let me see here. Yeah.
For the
So 2
anime?
weeks. Next chapter, part 2.
Oh, for the manga.
Yeah.
Cool.
So we have a new chapter of the new anime episode, then manga chapter, an anime episode, and then
we're gonna be busy from here on out. We're gonna have anime and manga podcast.
We're gonna be busy
I don't know.
little
I don't know if we'll do a
bitches.
separate podcast for the anime or just couple it all together. I don't know. We have to figure that out. But
We'll figure it out, but well,
really.
I guess in that case, maybe we should make them shorter because we normally do an hour long for these chapters. I don't know.
yeah,
We'll figure it out.
yeah,
Yes.
no.
I'll figure
I
it
mean, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll play it by ear right now, and then first let's get through these first couple of episodes and see how that goes. And then we'll start planning things out. But okay, well, thank you so much for everyone here on the podcast. Thank y'all for spending some time. I know I'm sorry, I am a terrible sleeper.
I okay.
Yeah.
You just got that dad nap going on.
I am channeling Lloyd like never before.
Yeah, that your icon is perfect for this exact moment of
Is it?
stress and pain. Just like, oh dear God, I need an antacid.
Not the antacids.
I just chug them.
Oh,
He's just got an old man
I have a Pez
stomach with his
dispenser full
poor...
of Tums.
Yeah.
Lloyd's
his
heartburn is
tummy
acting
problems.
Oh,
Yeah.
sense of disturbance.
Oh, my heart! I got heartburn real bad, guys. Anyway.
God, I'm gonna get heartburn with all this work we're gonna have, but that's okay. I am enjoying it. All right. Well, like I said, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for listening. We will be back again sometime soon. Talk about anime and the next chapters. So look forward to that.
Yeah.
And we will see you all next time. Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Hi, guys.